Hey, what's up? What's going on? It's your girl, Mary Jane. Please like, subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated. Share the video from the bottom of my heart, my peeps, my peoples. So today we're going to be talking about Marriage Boot Camp, Reality Stars Family Edition. Let's get into it. We're going to get, the name of the episode, by the way, is Ding Dong, the Witch is Wed. Whoa. So anyways, we get to the beginning of the episode with Paula in the kitchen making her a drink with vodka and ruby red. She is true to her word. And then we get Patty and Kendra. They are in their room talking about the mom writing the book. And the mom is just saying that, listen, people want to know how I dealt with the situation with you, Kendra, and all the other things that I had to deal with, raising you, being a single mom, my husband leaving me, and all this other stuff. So people want to know how did I get through it? How did I get past it? So that's why I'm writing the book. The book really doesn't have that much to do with you. Kendra's like, yeah, lines could get crossed because actually they probably want to know also, did Kendra do this? Did Kendra do that? How did Kendra grow up as a child? Because basically Kendra feels like people just really want to know about me and not what you went through, Mom, basically. And so many words. So anyways, it is what it is between them two. And so we get Farrah. Farrah is talking to Maximo, and Maximo is still stirring the pot about, Deborah going to get engaged and all that good stuff. So anyways, Farrah feels that her mother is only coming back because she left her stuff behind. That her mother, went around telling everybody about her getting engaged but didn't tell her herself, which Farrah has a great point. How are you going to tell these strangers about you getting engaged but you can't even tell your own daughter? And we're supposed to be here on this show about family and building our family relationship, but yet you still don't have enough trust in me and your ex-husband Michael to tell us that you're leaving to get engaged because it's important to you and you don't want to lose your boyfriend right now. And you should also, and then it's like you're making it seem like this guy that you're getting engaged to is more important than your daughter and your ex-husband actually building that relationship, and also your granddaughter. So Farrah actually has a factual point, and I hate to say it, but she does. So anyways, it is what it is. And so Farrah also says that she had to do that. She had to go through this same type of behavior when she was young, when you would tell all her friends what was going on, but you wouldn't tell her. You would leave her out. Why is that, Deborah? Do you feel like you're going to upset Farrah, or do you feel like you're not connected to Farrah, your own daughter? So there's a lot of deep issues that Farrah and her mother need to work on. I don't think this show is here for them. They need to do this privately. So anyways, guess what? Deborah's fiance now, his name is David. So Deborah's entering the house, and she's saying in her confessionals that she doesn't know how to tell Farrah. She wants to make the right moment to tell Farrah about her getting engaged, because if she doesn't tell her in the right moment, the right time, and it's not exact, that her and Farrah's relationship can be broken, can be tarnished forever. It's already tarnished and it's already broken, so I don't know what you're talking about. But it seems like you do genuinely care about this when you're saying this in your confession. So why didn't you tell Farrah this as you was leaving, Deborah? Why didn't you tell her this? To let her know that it's important, because Farrah wants to be married. Farrah wants a husband, whatever, So you could just tell her, I'm doing this for this reason, and I'm going to come back and continue the family boot camp because you are important to me as well, because you're my flesh and blood, my daughter. But Deborah decides not to do that. So it is what it is. So once Deborah walks into the house, Kendra immediately attacks, says that you missed a lot. You know what I mean? To Deborah, that you missed a lot. And then Farrah is about to get into it with her mother. Kendra jumps in and says, hey, Farrah, you don't have to deal with her. She abandoned you. She left. She doesn't really care about you and all this other stuff. So Kendra is hurt. And so then, Patty jumps in and said, yeah, you missed a lot. You missed a whole lot of things. So Deborah was like, well, basically I got to catch up. It almost seems like Deborah is numb to this whole situation. Almost seems like she's on medication to help her be calm, allegedly. It just seems like she's just numb, that she doesn't care anymore. I don't know if their relationship went downhill so far where Deborah would just sit there and just listen to whatever anybody says and just go her own merry way. So it is what it is. And so, So then Farrah goes outside and she talks to Deborah. She calls her mother a dumb bitch. You abandoned me. You're stupid. And she also threatens Deborah with, you won't be able to see your granddaughter and you won't be a part of this family. You won't see this. You won't see that. And she's calling her a stupid, dumb bitch, manipulating, all types of just horrific words. And it's like, Farrah, if you actually wanted to get a message through to your mother, talk to her like she's an adult. Talk to her like she's a human being, even though she's not showing you these behaviors that she is an adult. But for you to come at her and call her a dumb, stupid bitch, when you come and you attack someone in that way, they're not able to hear your message. Only thing they hear is threats. Only thing they hear is you degrading them and you demeaning them, basically. So it's like, Farrah, take 2 steps back and think, okay, maybe my mom left because of this reason. Maybe it's this. Try to come up with examples of where your mother could possibly be feeling instead of just attacking her, even though she's wrong. So anyways, the first exercise for the whole group of, the cast members is tied together. The exercise is tied together and bond. They're bonded together, whatever. So there's basically negative strips that they have to tie on their leg and then eventually tie to their family member to show them these negative words, these negative feelings have you guys bonded and tied together where you won't be able to build your relationship and you won't go far. So we're gonna attack these negative aspects of one another and then eventually cut them, and then you'll be free from that negative bondage and have positive bondage, basically. So anyways, the words are unemotional, stubborn, irresponsible, addiction, insecurity, aggressive, abusive, untrusting, selfish. And so basically these are DNA strands that kind of connect each and every one together because, DNA is hereditary, pass on down to the family. Basically, in other words, are saying generational curses that, you see, you watch, and you pass it down to your children. So it is what it is. So Chad is first. So Chad picks aggression. And he said he learned aggression from his mother. Paula, her first word that she picks, the stripe that she has to tie on herself is aggression as well. Because Paula was like, if you do it right the first time, you don't have to do it again. So Paula's basically expressing the way that she grew up, that she had to do it right the first time. And then the next word that Chad and Paula basically picks is stubborn. And Chad says, he learned being stubborn from his mother. And Paula says she learned from being stubborn from her mother as well. So basically in the confession, you got Chad and you got Paula, and they're in the confessionals. And then so Chad said, I love this wonderful quality of being stubborn from my mother. So he takes the ribbon, he puts it on his mom, and then Paula goes, I wear this ribbon with style. I wear it with style. Paula is wonderful. And you also see how Paula and Chad are connecting. Even when they are tied together and they have to walk through the house, they work as a team. And she actually is acting motherly towards Chad when they're eating dinner and they have to get up at the same time, and she's helping him and assisting him as well. She's actually showing him her motherly characteristics. So it is what it is. So Paula says, I learned being stubborn from my mother. You do it the right way the first time, you don't have to do it again, and have pride. You know what I mean? So she's showing where she learned her behavior from, her stubbornness, her aggressive, and Chad is showing where he learned it from. Then you get Maximo. He picks up abuse because he was abused. He felt like he was abused as a child. He was abused by his brothers, being picked on. Mike picks addiction because he got addicted to drugs. He's addicted to attention. He's addicted to the medium. Mark picks aggression because that's the way he was raised, and all he knows how to be is to be aggressive, to be in charge, to be a winner, never lose. And then Deborah, she picks aggression because she learned aggression from her mother. And then Michael, he picks insecurity because he's passive and he's passive with everything, and he's insecure with who he is as a human being. So that's probably the reason why he cheated on Deborah so many times, because he was insecure with his relationship with his wife and his daughters. And so that's one of the reasons why he's so passive, and he lacks passion. He lacks, everything basically. That's why he's carrying the 2 balls around. And so anyways, Chad says his mother is, so then after everyone picks, their 2 stripes, It is what it is. So then they go. So now once they pick their stripes and they're wearing it, they go into the room, and basically now, each person gets to see what the other person put down as a DNA trait, which is on the tag, which they tie around each other. And Chad sees Paula, and he says to Paula, "Oh my God, ours are almost identical. Only thing that is missing is just one." OMG. So it shows you that they do really have a bond. They are really tied to DNA, even though they have a rocky relationship. It shows that their relationship can work, and they see their faults. They see what is going on in their life. They see the generational curses that was passed down to them and inherit. So it really looks like they are going to work on it. Kendra, she picked untrusting because she can kind of can't be untrusting. She's untrusting of her mother writing a book, and she doesn't know if it's a form of blackmail or what it is with her and her mother. And so, Patty, she picks the same thing: untrustworthy, unemotional. Patty had to be unemotional because she was a single mother trying to raise a bad child, trying to hold it together, trying to be strong, trying to be fearless, basically. And so that makes Kendra unemotional as well, because she's doing the same thing as her mother showed her as well, to be unemotional, to deal with all these situations. So you can understand why Kendra can be on TV from the Playboy Mansion and then in her open life with filming, because she's so unemotional. So it is what it is. And so, wow. I mean, like, this episode kind of really hit on a lot of things. So then there's a one-on-one. The one-on-one is with Dr. V, I believe. Dr. V, Farrell, Michael, and Deborah. And basically, Deborah trying to say, "Oh, I left because of, my husband abandoned me 20 years ago." And so she's throwing all these things. She's throwing up like, "Oh, woe is me," or she's trying to be a martyr or whatever. And so then Dr. Ish, I believe, Dr. Ish, the black doctor, he says to, Deborah, well, I'm not going to let you do this. I'm not going to let you change the situation, try to put it on your daughter. I'm not going to let Farrah jump in and try to say, "Oh, Mom, don't use that excuse." I'm not going to let Michael jump in and try to say, "Oh, no, I didn't leave." We're just going to point the blame at you, and you own up to it. We're not going to go around the merry-go-round with this. Own up to your behavior and stop acting like you're innocent in this. So basically, Deborah, she doesn't really own up to it. She just said, "Okay, it's whatever." So then there's a one-on-one, and Dr. V and Kendra and Patty, and basically it touched on a really good subject where it shows that they don't understand where the reality of the relationship begins and then where the camera ends. So basically, Patty says that, when Kendra was going through her situation with Hank and all that other good stuff, Kendra called me, asked me to come up and visit her for the weekend. And then when I got there, she was telling me that, "Oh, it's going to be filmed." The producers was there, and she had to, like, as she was walking through the door, the producer stopped and say, "Hey, wait a minute, hold up. We got to shoot this scene again." And so, and then, like, okay, camera action, go. So Patty felt like that she didn't know if it was real, this relationship and this bullshit with her and Hank. Was it actually true, or this is just, filming? This is not real. This is not authentic, because if she was really going through all this hurt and this pain, why would she really doesn't want me here. She just really wants me here for the cameras to add more to her storyline. And so then, so that's when Dr. V says, "So you really don't know where the relationship begins and the cameras end." So it's like they're confused. And then, Patty also says that she doesn't even know her daughter anymore, because she's so much into the reality TV and the cameras that she doesn't know her anymore. She doesn't know what's real and what's fake with her daughter, when she's actually being genuine and when she's not, because everything is always being filmed and being taped. So then Kendra says, so then the Dr. V asked Kendra, what is your take on it? Was there a moment that you felt something was unreal? She was like, yeah. Kendra was like, yeah. When I asked my mom to come, all I see these posts of my mother saying, oh, I'm going to go visit my daughter and my grandkids. I'm going up there and all this other stuff. And Kendra said she felt like it was a celebration. And Kendra was actually right, because the mom, Patty, says, yeah, it was a celebration. It was a celebration that you wanted me there, even though it was for a sad reason. But I get to see my grandkids. I get to see you. I get to be around you. So then Dr. V says, you know what? Kendra, you are right, but you're right for not the entirely right reason. It was a celebration, but a celebration that you guys can bond. So now you can see where their relationship is it could be worked on only if they can focus on the real and not the fake and not the camera. So they can actually build something outside of reality TV and the cameras, then they can actually mend their wounds together, in my opinion. And so it is what it is. So basically, Dr. V says to both of them that you guys don't know where the relationship begins and ends because of the cameras all the time. So they're going to work on that. And that sounds like it's really on point. Like they're getting it together. So then the next exercise is called Problem Child. And this is really sad and so really touching. Especially, Chad, the child comes out as an image of Chad, as the young Chad. And he talks about, being a successful football player and not having his mother around, and also speaking that, having a bunch of kids out of wedlock and his mom's not around, and, holding his anger and his aggression in. But if he does hold it in, he might end up headbutting his wife one day. So we know what that's all about. Evelyn headbutting her, then Chad losing everything by holding his anger in because of his childhood, because of the things he went through. And so then you get Paula's child comes in, the image of her as young Paula, and the young Paula says that, oh, my mother wanted me to be a doctor, but I don't really know what I wanted to be, so I went to college. And then once I went to college, I ended up having a baby out of wedlock and getting pregnant by a drug dealer. That way I'll show her. And so then Paula immediately starts to cry, and she's feeling all the feelings of the issues that she had as a child with her mother, which is Chad's grandmother, about how her mother was so strict and forced her opinion on her. And Paula wanted to be defiant and be who she was. And so she made the decision to go to college, get pregnant, and be with a drug dealer. And so Paula's crying, and Dr. V says, so Paula, what would you say to young Paula? And Paula said, I would say to her, choices. We all have to make choices, but be careful of the choices that you make. Really think about the choices that you make, and also think about the choices that you make, who they might hurt. Just don't think about yourself when you make these choices. Think about how these choices are going to affect others that you love and affect people around you. And so then the young girl, she comes and she hugs Paula. This is like the most realest thing that you can ever see on one of these reality TV shows. And the young girl, this is not scripted, she comes out and she hugged Paula, and you can see where Paula, and the young girl also said, I'm going to have a son that I'm going to be disappointed and I'm going to mistreat him because he had children out of wedlock, so, and Paula had children out of wedlock, and also because he didn't live up to my standards. So it shows where Paula used her generational curse and that behavior to force that she had forced upon Chad, where he's having kids out of wedlock. And so where Paula's mother, that Paula didn't live up to her standards of becoming a doctor, and then where Chad didn't live up to her standards as continue to be successful and not have kids out of wedlock and be married and all that other stuff. So you see where their relationship entwines and how the generational curses had begun. And so Paula realized at this moment, so has Chad realized, okay, the same exact thing that my mother's doing to me is the same thing that was done to her. So Chad also feels that he had a breakthrough with his mom and understanding. And so that's when the doctors say, Chad, now your mom has worked on her. It's time for you to work on you. And it's time for you to get it. We coming for you, Chad. That's what Dr. V says. And Paul is all happy. Yes, Dr. V's coming for Chad and not me. So anyways, then we get to Farrah and her family, which was, the young... it just didn't seem real. It didn't seem authentic. It didn't seem like it touched Farrah. It didn't seem like it touched Deborah. It was just off. So anyways... you know, it only thing it just shows that Farrah wanted to have a kid at a young age because she wanted to show love to a child that was different than her parents showed love to her. And she wanted to be a better parent. And she really, you know, she hated her parents when they were young, when she was young. And they have so many issues that really can't be worked out. Deborah doesn't agree who this young child is that comes out and imitate her. She believes it's 10% wrong. Only person that really was touched by the situation, to me, in my opinion, was Michael. The kid came out, said that, you know, I'm insecure, I'm emotionalist, I get picked on, I don't have self-esteem, you know, I look for love in all different places, and you know, I kind of hate myself, I hate whom I am. So when I have a child, I'm going to be their best friend. So, and then Mike, he starts to cry because he realized that's him being passive aggressive, you know, and his insecurities, that he couldn't own up or stand up to anyone in his life, and he couldn't please his parents, basically. So then we move on to Mike, the situation, and you know, the kid comes out, he's talking about, you know, Mike taking a pill, and also, you know, being special and actually making money and supporting his family and being paid to drink, being paid to party, being paid to make money, and also take care of his family, figure out everything, and then also have his brothers help him out and assist him so they won't have to be, I guess, financially distressed, and trusting his brothers, loving his brothers, and having him help him out in a situation. And then it also, and blood is blood, and also shows that Mike was carrying the weight of his family on his back, and he was doing everything he can to make sure his family was financially stable. And Dr. V says, so even if it meant to go to jail, you were going to do what you had to do, which is the tax evasion. And he's like, yeah, it is. It definitely is. And then you get the kid that comes out to portray Mark, and he's aggressive, and he always had to win, and he always had to be number one, and he couldn't fail, and he couldn't mess up, and he had to live up to his father's standards and the abuse that he received as a child. And his father always told him to be a winner. And for an example, I lost my softball game, and my dad did not feed me dinner because dinners are only for winners. So it shows you where Mark comes from, where he always got to win. He always says winning is everything, because he had to win, because if he didn't win, he would be abused and mistreated by his father. And so then you get the kid that comes in, that's Maximo, and the kid is really small, timid, and tiny, which is a great depiction of Maximo between these two giant, tall other two kids. And Maximo is actually the older brother, and then he was like, I've been living with a secret, I'm different from everybody else, I don't get treated the same, everybody treats me differently, and all this other stuff. And so then the doctor, you know, she goes in on about, you know, Maximo, and Maximo feel like he's being abused by his brothers, he's being mistreated, and he couldn't handle certain situations. And so the doctor gets to, you know, Mike, that, you know, Mike was holding everything down, basically financially, and even if it meant for him to go to jail. And then, you know, Mark is the one that had to take the brunt of the abuse, because he had one younger brother that was wild, and then the other older brother that was timid, wasn't there, he was always scared, he was treated differently, he didn't get abused as much. So Mark actually took on so much more of the abuse because he was the aggressive one. He was there protecting his brothers from the abuse, so he took the brunt of the abuse and the mistreatment that he received from his father, and he protected his brothers from that. And so that's where you see where Mark has like that kind of like the disdain and the hatred in a certain way, for not hatred, but the dislike for his brother Maximo, because he was supposed to be the oldest, he was supposed to stand up, he was supposed to be there to protect his two younger brother, but he wasn't. And so now you get to the real meat and potatoes of the situation, where why the two brothers pick on Maximo so much, because the father didn't pick on him. He got away with a lot because he was timid, because he was different. And so it has nothing really to do with Maximo being gay, but really him not being there, sticking by his brothers and protecting his brother, because he was the oldest. And actually that's why Mark is so aggressive, that's why Mark is so abusive. And Mark had to endure most of all the pain growing up, because he was there protecting his brothers. He was the man of the brothers. And so Maximo feels so guilty about that. He was like, yeah, my brother was good. He was a good brother. And Maximo is bawling, and he was like, you did a good job. You did a good job. You did a good job, Mark. You stood up, and then so Maximo's also saying where he messed up. The reason why his brothers had mistreat him in certain ways, because he wasn't there. He was the favorite. He wasn't there to endure the mistreatment and the abuse like they did. So then Mark, he gets up, he walks away, he's crying. Mark comes back. The doctor said, this is the true emotion. You were a true man now, being able to own up to the way that you felt, being able to cry, being able to release. So now you get the understanding why it's very different between the brothers, and the reason why they kind of shit on Maximo, because he wasn't shitted on like they were shitted on growing up by their father. And it is what it is. And then Maximo also says that Mike was supporting the family, worrying about all this burden that he had to endure. And that's probably one of the reasons why he got on drugs and escaped. So Maximo is saying so much, and all the brothers are saying so much, where they are realizing what's going on between their relationship and where their faults are coming in from, their childhood, their abuse, their parenting. So it is what it is. And, Mark comes back, the doctors check on him. So then it's like, wow, it's crazy. And so then we get to, Patty. Patty talks about, Patty, imitation of her as a young child, comes in like having a wild child. She's very religious. I would never have a wild child. I would never have a child that doesn't obey. I would never have a child that would do this. I would raise my child right and with love. And then you get the imitation of Kendra. Kendra comes out, the young girl comes out as Kendra, talking about, my mom is so strict. She's always on rules, and you can't break the rules. And I'm in fear of that. I'm scared of that. She really never showed me love. And maybe one of the reasons why my father left, because my father hate rules, and my mother's so strict with rules that's why he ran out. And I don't feel love because she's been abandoned. And also you get to see where Kendra felt the issue with the unloved, not feeling love growing up. It's not really to the full extent Patty's fault, but also the abandonment of her father, abandoning her and leaving. And that's where that lack of love came in. So she kind of blames her mom for him leaving because of her rules, how strict she was, because she didn't show love. So now, Kendra gets the understanding that her mom was so strict because she was raising a bad teenager. So the teenager girl comes out like, I'm wild. I'm going to be looking for attention from men, and boys are looking at me, and I'm rebellious and things like that. But imitates, Kendra. And Kendra said, now I see it. Oh, I was a bad teenager. I was a bad kid. And my mom was raising a single child on her own, trying to do this, trying to hold everything together. And actually, all the blame is not my mom, And my mom had to provide for us, and that's why maybe I didn't feel love, and most likely my father abandoned me, and that's why I was at the Playboy Mansion. So she's realizing a lot of things about what her mom did go through raising her as a young Kendra, how she had to try to raise her correctly, and then also seeing that her mom was raised very religious and not having a problem child. And Patty never thought that she would have a daughter that was out of control or a whore, as Patty said in the last episode. You think I wanted you to be a whore? You think a mother's proud to have a daughter that's a whore or whatever? And so you see where their relationship disconnects because of the way that they were both raised. And so Patty understands that she sees that her daughter, is because of the hurt of the abandonment of the father leaving. And also that, that's one of the reasons why she didn't feel love. And Patty was also way too strict on her daughter. And she was bringing a lot of the strict and no nonsense towards her daughter when she should have been more emotional and showing love. So they actually getting the gist of the situation. So it seems like it's gonna work out for I believe Deborah, and I believe Kendra can make this work. I believe Chad and Paula can make it work, and I believe the situation Mark and his brothers can make it work. And Maximo, because they're actually touching on some real issues where, Farrah, Deborah, and Michael, they need extensive counseling. They need help. like other than this show, because it's like Deborah and Farrah are just alike, but Farrah is more vicious and more young with her words, and she can actually hurt her mother. Her mother can possibly do some damage, but her mother's lost and confused, and she doesn't see anything wrong, just like Farrah doesn't see anything wrong with her behavior. And I believe Michael can actually get some help from the situation, where he can actually have balls and not be a doormat, and actually can stand up for himself, and actually can believe in himself and not be so insecure, where he doesn't depend on his daughter, where he can actually go out there and do things that he want to do, and also be a great grandfather and not make the same mistakes that he made with Farrah. And he can actually have another relationship with another person if he can work on him and himself. So peace, I'm out.